Hi and welcome to Evil Knits. My name is Evie or Evie, and today I would like to show you a few things from my hand knitted wardrobe that I made over the last years that I just never wear. And I want to change that. I want to take these pieces. I think you can see a little bit of them over here. I have 7 of them in total, and I picked them from my closet and I will do something about them. I think most of them I will completely frog and make into something else. There's a chance that 1 or 2 of them will just have to be modified. But as they are, I just don't use them. And they take up a lot of space. My hand knitted wardrobe is overflowing. I'm having trouble putting things back as neatly as I want to because I'm lacking space. So something just needs to happen. And right now I would just like to quickly show you all of the things I picked from my closet and then just get started with the first reclaiming project, redoing project. What am I going to call this? Yeah, let's start with the first one. So this barely counts as a garment. It's actually more of an accessory. And it's one of the first knits that I made. Yeah, this was really early on in my knitting career, and I'll quickly put it on. Of course, it doesn't look super great, but some of you may recognize what this is. This is just a collar inspired by Outlander. Like many people, when I watched Outlander, I was like, oh my god, there's knitting! And I really like this. I think it's called Bear Hunt collar or capelet. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, I think. And I ordered this one skein of yarn online. I had no idea about yarn and fiber back then. So this is a wool acrylic blend, I think, by Rico Design. It's a very uneven yarn. It's thick and thin, but the color just kind of matched, which is why I chose it. And I think it's cute. You can have a ribbon underneath this collar and then tie a bow at the front here, but I just never wear it. And I'm not sure if I like the color for myself, but the amount of yarn that I have would be nice for an accessory. But because it is an acrylic and wool mix, I'm not sure what to make with this. But that's a problem for another day. The next thing is, again, something super old. Again, acrylic yarn and no pattern. I came up with this myself. And this is just a raglan, well, kind of a sweater without a body. So it's just the sleeves. And I made this with leftovers, and I did a super too rapid decrease and a not so pretty color change over here. Some random stripes in both of the sleeves. The black and white yarns are different weights. I will not put this on right now, but I did actually do short rows. As you can see, the back is a little bit longer than the front. It sits like right above the boobs and is a little bit too tight on me, so it looks silly. Also a problem for another day. The next one is maybe the newest knit in here. This is knitted in a strand of silk mohair. I would have to look up the exact yarn. It was by Lana Grossa and it was on sale. And I wanted to go out of my comfort zone with the color here because looking at this color, it makes me happy. I like this color, but I don't think it looks good on me. The pattern is the Summer Lotus, a free pattern on Hobby with no German short rows, and it sits terribly. I also played Yarn Chicken, so it's too tight, it's too short everywhere. Problem for another day. The next thing is also something very old. I think this is still a post on my Instagram page. This is a free pattern by Drops. It's a round yoke lace tee knitted in Drops Paris, which is a DK or even worsted weight cotton yarn. So this is very heavy and I think it looks very cute, but my body has changed and I don't fit into this anymore. It's so cropped. It ends like right below my boobs. It just doesn't look good because it's too chunky for the fit. So don't know what to do with this. The next one is again a t-shirt. Knitted in Drops Belle, a beautiful gray color with a purple pinkish undertone. The pattern is the perfect t-shirt, perfect simple t-shirt, something like that, a free pattern that is a nice pattern, but it turned out too big for me. And I don't like the fit. The piece is completely fine, but it just doesn't look great on me. So also don't know what's gonna happen with this. I would like to have something in this yarn that I actually wear. Now the second to last thing is again made in Drops Paris and is again a pattern by Drops. The Sonora Sunrise sweater. This one was actually featured in the old content that is now not publicly available on my YouTube channel anymore. I still love the colors. I chose the purple with this minty tiny stripe and then the gray. Still very much my style. And the raglan increases are very fitting for a summer garment. But again, this is very heavy, being a thick cotton yarn. And it's also quite oversized, and the sleeves don't have any decreases. So overall, it's just too much fabric and it's too heavy for me to comfortably wear in summer or in winter. So something will have to be done to this as well. Now the last thing I picked from my closet that I will talk about more in depth is actually two things. But it is, first of all, this. This is a cotton shirt that I made also not too long ago. I followed the pattern called On the Beach by Isabel Kremer, and I called mine the Cheshire cat top, something like that, because the colors remind me of the Alice in Wonderland Cheshire cat. Cheshire? Oh my god. Yeah, and I made it way too big. This is so wide, it's kind of an off-shoulder situation, but on both shoulders, so it just slips down and doesn't look good. And the yarn I made this in was a gift, and it's the most beautiful cotton yarn I've ever felt. It's incredibly soft and buttery, very high quality cotton yarn. It was by the brand Onion. And as you can see, I have this dark purple and this light purple, so someone really knows my taste. And I just want this to be something that I actually wear. And the weather kind of warming up, now is the perfect time to make something out of this. When I made this, I used the leftovers to make a very cute bandana. So this is just a granny stitch bandana with a picot edge that looks very cute, but I also never wear this. So I want to make this into something wearable. And if I don't have enough yarn, which I don't think I will also frog this bandana to use the yarn. Now I am already eyeing a pattern that I want this yarn to be turned into, and that is the Moondance by Sunny Paulina. I've talked about this pattern in pretty much every video because I just made it, but it would also lend itself very well to the yarn quantity I have here. The Moondance is a cardigan with compound raglan increases for a nice fit, and it's designed to have stripes on the lower part of the body and sleeves. The stripes are designed to be knitted in a wool yarn and a silk mohair yarn, though I can just do the stripes in different colors. So visually, this design with the stripes on the bottom half of the garment would be very similar in the Moondance, which is probably why I thought about making this, because it's just so obvious. Looking at the meterage, I would not have enough of either color. You need a contrast color and a main color, and of both of them, I don't have enough. I have more of the dark purple and less of the light purple. Now this cotton yarn, as I said, is by Onion. It's super soft and it's a sport weight yarn. And I was like, wait a minute, don't I have more cotton sport weight yarn? And I luckily just went through my stash and knew that I have these 3 balls of Drops Saffron in stash. They are also 100% cotton, and they have 160 meters per 50 grams, which is pretty much what this yarn has. The saffron is, however, by far not as soft as the onion cotton, but I'm thinking about using these 3, or possibly not the green, just the white and this cornflower purple blue, as additional colors in the stripes that I do on the garment. So if I show you all of these 4 colors together, I think we can agree that it kind of works. And it would be amazing to use these stash balls with this project. So what I imagine is the main color being the dark purple, and then we get to the stripes. I don't do any stripes in the dark purple, just in the other 3 colors. So all of the light colors, stripe those 3, which would hopefully result in me having enough of the main color to use it for the ribbing and everything else it is intended for. I do think the ribbing looks best if worked in the darkest color. I'm still not sure if I would have enough, so it would be a gamble. I think the first step for me now is to unravel this one, the On the Beach, and probably also just this one. The bandana is really cute, but I really didn't wear it, and I will need the yarn. So first step is to unravel these 2 things and then weigh them just to be sure about the meterage I have, and then see what size I realistically can make. And yeah, then just go from there. Hi. I unraveled the yarn, which took a lot longer than I anticipated. I actually sat there in silence for a while. I think it took me about an hour, and I didn't feel like putting anything on, which is unusual. So I just let my thoughts go wherever they wanted, but I successfully unraveled both things, and most of it is now in this bag here. As you can see, there's not a lot. I have 69 grams for the lighter purple and 174 grams, including this cake, for the darker purple. And that's less than I expected I would have, and I'm thinking where I use the leftovers. So yeah, this is definitely not enough for the cardigan. Let's have a look at the saffron. So as a reminder, I have these 3 skeins of drops saffron. I think this is my favorite color of them. This is the color number 5. All of them were originally 50 grams for 160 meters, which I believe this one was as well. Maybe this one was 170, but they're basically the same. And these 3 together weighed in at 140 grams, meaning I just used 10 grams from all of them combined. I had a look at the pattern, and I would get away with making size number 2. I have made size number 3, and that fits well. For size number 2, the pattern calls for 800 meters for the main color and 260 meters for the contrast color. I do not have enough of this dark purple to use it as a main color in and of itself. So my thought was initially not to include this green color and just have this color palette, which I think looks beautiful, but I will need the green as well to have enough yardage. And then I do actually have enough yardage for size 3 as well. I think it will be a last minute decision whether I will cast on size 2 or size 3. Yeah, as I said, I have enough yardage for both. So what my plan is now, I will use the dark purple as the main color, but everything that is the main color stripe in the sample and the ribbing, I will have to replace with different colors. So effectively the dark purple will only be used for the top part of the cardigan, which I'm not sure is gonna look great because then it's heavier colorwise on the top, and then the stripes at the bottom are all lighter colored. I think it's a little heavy colorwise on top. Do I stripe the whole thing? So after letting some thoughts sit for a day, I think I decided that I want to stripe the entire garment in the colors in this order, and I do not have yet made a gauge swatch, and I'm deliberating just not doing one. I was just knitting away when I realized that I can maybe give you an update, because I cast on yesterday evening, so maybe a little bit more than 24 hours ago. I think less than 30 hours ago. And since then we've had people over, guests here, and between doing this and that, I was knitting quite a bit, so you may be surprised how much. Good morning, or actually noon. It is May 10th. And yesterday I was interrupted while I sat here and wanted to give a little update. So now I think I do have a moment. I have been knitting away, whenever I had a moment. And actually there were lots of moments. Also yesterday evening, I pretty much had the evening off and was mainly knitting. So I have quite something to show you. I don't think I've even said what size I am making. So let me give you the basic info while I show you what I have. So this is what we have right now. As you can see, I have stripes. Wow. And I'm really happy with the order of the colors that I chose. I am making size 3. So I think in that one clip I kind of said that I'm deliberating just not making a gauge swatch, and actually I didn't do a gauge swatch. I have to say I usually make gauge swatches, but I just made this pattern and I had a really good idea about my gauge with this yarn and the needle size I was gonna use. Okay, having said that, this you cast on up here, the garment is knitted top down, and then you do raglan increases, compound raglan increases. This is the front, this part here is one of the sleeves, then this is the back, and then the same for the other side. I haven't knit anything in stripes in a while, and stripes are a little bit addicting. I'm doing 6-row stripes and then just repeating the same color sequence all along. And I decided on this order of the colors because I wanted the green and the dark purple to be separated by at least one color, because they are, for me, 2 of the colors that stand out the most. And then I wanted this light purple and this cornflower blue purple to be separated by at least one color as well, because they are the most similar. And I liked having these 2 colors next to each other because those 2 colors are the onion yarn, and they have a little bit of a different texture compared to the rest, so I thought it would be nice to have them next to each other. So yeah, this is what happened, and I like this. It's so happy, it's so springy, I love the colors. It's not like anything I have in my wardrobe, and it's really fun to knit. And by the way, I think I am off by 1 stitch. It's a little bit hard to tell because I haven't blocked this, but right now it measures 22 stitches instead of 21 stitches that are called for by the pattern. I can talk about how I'm handling the ends, because I wasn't sure when I started how I would handle the ends. And as you can see, I have lots of ends already, which means that I cut off the yarn whenever the stripe comes to an end. When I did each color for the first time, I left all of the balls attached to see if I could carry them. But because the stripes are pretty big and there are lots of different colors, it would be too bulky to carry all of the yarns. So I am just cutting all of them. And yeah, I'll just keep knitting. I'm gonna work the last row before splitting for body and sleeves. This is the state after a 5-day trip. That was kind of a break. I only knitted a little bit on the way back. I was the passenger princess. This is where we split for sleeves, so I have maybe 10 centimeters on the body and nothing on the sleeves. So I can't wait to get back to this and be actively knitting on this. It's Wednesday, the 20th of May, and yesterday I was knitting on the body and I managed to work up a few stripes. And the black cardigan underneath, what you see here, is my first Moondance that I'm making in the same size, but the gauge is a little bit different. But I thought I would put my stripy Moondance on top, kind of try to align the raglan lines as well as I could. And as you can see, it's not very aligned. But what I'm interested in seeing the most is actually figuring out how long I want the body to be. So this is kind of where these parts align. And then going down here, you can see that on this one, I'm exactly at the place where I would want to start the ribbing, which is great because I want to do the ribbing in the dark purple color, which is the next color. So this works out perfectly. I will try it on in a second, but just having a little look up here, you can see that the raglan lines of the stripy Moondance, so the front and the back, are not even quite aligned. But if we were to imagine that blocking will help a little bit, this kind of looks to be the same size. And then up here I will pick up and do the ribbing, and then only the sleeves are left. I am wearing my idun, in case you're interested. This is just a ribbed top that's a really nice underlayer, and I love the finishings on this one. Because it's ribbed, it's always at negative ease, and actually I'm planning to make another one this summer, but it's about this guy. So let me put it on. I'm really happy with this.
Okay, ich spiele einen Drachen mit eiskaltem Blick und ja, das ist so die 3 von den gefallen.
Hello. I just filmed a podcast episode, so I thought I would use the setup to also give you a little bit of an update on my Moondance. My Moondance is looking really good, if I may say so myself. This is it from the front, and from the back you can see it everything a little bit clearer. This is the back. And as you can see, I bound off for the bottom ribbing. I just did that yesterday evening, I think. And I decided on doing the ribbing in the darkest color, which is something that I knew I was gonna do pretty much from the beginning, mainly due to that's the color I have the most of, and I do think that making an outline of any sort looks best in the darkest color available. So as you can see, you bind off for the ribbing and then you have one live stitch left, and from here I will pick up the bottom band. The bottom band has a certain number of rows that needs to be worked to make the button holes. And I didn't want the hem ribbing to be much shorter than the bottom band. I think that would look kind of weird. So I matched the bottom ribbing, the body ribbing, and the bottom band rows that will be worked. So the purple stripe, the last purple stripe, is a little bit bigger, but I think it looks good. I think it's a stripe thickness that matches the pattern. Now, yarn-wise, it's looking a little bit suspicious. These are the 3 drops saffron bits of yarn I have. You can see they're all looking quite flimsy and small. I think it will work out. I think they look much smaller than they actually are because I pulled the yarn from the inside. But the 2 sleeves will not take as much yarn as the entirety of this body has so far. So I think we should be good. I also calculated the yardages, the meterage before I started, and it should be okay, but you never know. So that's where I'm at. I will pick up the bottom band either tonight or tomorrow. Today is Friday, and I have the weekend off, so I'm hoping to get the bottom band done this weekend. Yeah. Good morning. It's the 23rd of May. It's Saturday, and yesterday evening I picked up for the bottom band, and I wanted to show you what it looks like on this side. This is the left-hand side when I'm going to wear the cardigan. And as you can see, here are all of the ends that were created during the striping process. And the ends are, with me picking up the stitches for the button band, now all kind of secured. Not a lot. I think I will weave them all in just a little bit. But I tried to pick up the button band while going over the ends. So you can maybe see here, these 2 ends would actually sit here. Here's the knot of these 2 threads being knotted together. And then when I picked up stitches from here to here, I just went over those yarns. I did an even pickup rate. Seagulls. My only thing that I always dislike when knitting button bands like this is that whenever I get to this part, no matter if I pick up more stitches or less stitches, it always kind of does this curve. And I will not mind in the finished results, but it's always something that I notice. So I have yet to find my ideal way of knitting a button band like this. Before I get started on the sleeves, I would like to check in where we weigh in with the different yarns. So for the white, okay, that's like half a skein. That's quite nice. I think we're not playing yarn chicken actually. Well, the green is only at 17. That's also 17. And then the like purple, 35, okay. And then the dark purple is what I have by far the most of. That's at 111, okay. I only had 69 grams of the light purple to begin with, of which I now have 35 grams, which means I have only used about 34 grams for the entirety of the body. And both of the sleeves should take a little bit less than the body, so I think we're good with making full-length sleeves. I just tried it on, and I gotta say the sleeve is a little bit tight compared to the fit of the body. I wish I hadn't done any decreases, and I think my gauge is also a little tiny bit tighter on the sleeves than on here, because the body is knit back and forth, and then this is of course knitted in the round. And it's a little bit too tight. No, it's annoying because I would just, rip bag and work the sleeve without any decreases. But because I'm making stripes, I cut all of the ends. So if I were to frog bag and then just work the sleeve without any decreases, I would run out of yarn of the later colors. Alrighty, I just finished filming another podcast episode. I don't exactly know when I talked to you last, but I think it was when I was struggling with the sleeves. Oh yeah, so I started the first sleeve and I did the decreases as described in the pattern, and it turned out too tight for my arm. It was sitting snugly, and that made it look kind of weird because the raglan turned out kind of deep, and then with the sleeve being a little bit too snug, there was like a bulge of fabric created here, which wasn't very cute. So I frogged the sleeve progress I had made, and I picked up again and I worked the sleeve without any decreases. Now for the yarn quantities, I can show you, those are the two smallest yarn quantities I have left. This one is very tiny, and this one is only meant to do one more stripe, which tells you that I have made progress on the sleeves. I'd rather show you from the back. So this is the body, and just a few minutes ago actually I bound off the first sleeve. As you can see, it's striped still in the same sequence, and then I got to the ribbing, which I wanted to do in dark purple anyway, and I did the ribbing for maybe 5 or 6 centimeters, because that's the length I needed to get to, and I didn't have enough to stripe all the way until here and then just do a smaller bit of the ribbing. So that's why the ribbing for the sleeve is so much longer than anywhere else. I did also do the little modification of rearranging the 2x2 rib to 1x1 rib in the last round, and then I did Italian bind off because I think that's just a very neat look to ribbed edges. So yeah, the first sleeve is done. This is what I have on the second sleeve. this is where I am. So I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more stripes, and then I am at the ribbing as well. So this is one stripe. This is one stripe. And then of the white, I have a little bit more left. This is everything I have left of the lilac. And then I have plenty of the dark purple. So I am a little bit unhappy, would be too strong of a word, but I would have liked to use more of the dark purple because it's such a beautiful yarn and I wanted to use them together. But then I had to substitute with these. I think the colors look really cute together. And looking at this right now, I am a little bit sad that the raglans are so deep. My partner said that it looks cute because it looks comfy and cozy and relaxed, but yeah, it's just a little bit too deep for my liking. Right now, I feel like my energy for this project is picking up and we're really almost done. So yeah, let's finish this guy. We've made it to the last clip in this project vlog. The cardigan is all done and I would like to show you what it's looking like. I kept the finishing of this kind of short clip-wise in this video just because I realized that the video is already quite long, so maybe I'll even cut some clips out. But anyway, you can see that I'm wearing my second Moondance cardigan. It's all done. I just sewed the buttons on. Today is Monday, the 1st of June. Yeah, and it's officially all done for now. We'll get to that a little bit later. First, I would like to show you what the cardigan is looking like. As you can see, the sleeves are a really nice length. The ribbing turned out a nice length. It's not quite bracelet length, but yeah, it's a full sleeve, but it tends to ride up rather quickly because of the pretty low raglan. Also, when I raise my arms, I don't know if you just saw that, but when the raglan is really low, the sleeves and the body ride up pretty quickly. So that's what's happening here. But I don't mind that. I think the fit overall is cohesive, so everything goes together nicely. I did end up working no decreases on the sleeves, and I think that looks really nice. Maybe I can show you this one as well. And I love the color combination. I'm so happy with the stripes. I think the button band looks really nice. And my personal highlights are the buttons. If you have seen my podcast episode about the first Moondance that I made a few months ago, I had so much fun picking out the buttons, and I just absolutely love the buttons on that cardigan, and I think it's the same on this one. So again, I put my favorite button at the very top, and with the way this cardigan fits, again, due to the low raglan, I will most likely keep the top button unbuttoned all of the time, which is fine because you can still see this beautiful, super cute button. It's a little clown, a purple clown. It's perfect for this. The second button is a green one. I tried to match the green with the green in the cardigan. And then the one in the middle is a white one that's also kind of special because it's a square and it looks a little bit 3D. I think it's supposed to sit like this, more like a diamond, but I placed it like this, so it's more like a square. And then the bottom two buttons are lilac, though different shades. This one is more of a pinkish and a pretty normal button. And then this one at the very bottom is quite 3D. It looks like a donut a little bit. By the way, don't mind the outfit. Today is another warm day, so I'm wearing my Love Letter top by Kutuba Kika underneath, and I just threw the cardigan on, so it doesn't really go with the outfit. But as you can see, if I stand up, the length of the cardigan, this is my hip, so it kind of hits directly at the hip, which is a pretty perfect length for me for a cardigan. And you may be able to see a few ends sticking out down here. So I wasn't sure how I would handle the ends. Let me take the cardigan off and then continue talking. All right, so the back is looking really nice. And then when I show you the front, you can see a lot of loose ends, and also on the underside of the sleeves. So for this cardigan, I woven all of the ends that are not the ends created due to a color change for the different stripes. So any ends from casting on, casting off, joining a new yarn when I ran out of the old yarn because I had a lot of scraps and little pieces I had to piece together. All of those ends I wove in, and then all of the ends that are still unwoven in are really just from the color changes. And so far, I don't mind them at all. I think I may go and weave in the last few ends down here on the body so they don't stick out when I'm just wearing the cardigan. But generally, I think no one will know, and I don't really mind if there is a loose end or two that people can see. I just think that it would create more bulk because the weaving in of the ends would be all at the same place. And yes, it's at the underarms, but it's quite visible still, just moving around and living. So for now, I'll leave it like this. I don't think I've ever done that before, but I consider objects finished even with ends not woven in, as long as they're wearable already. So I think for this one, I actually, in my Ravelry, noted this as finished on the 39th? 31st? I'm not sure. Oh no. It doesn't matter. I'll write it on the screen. So I think the knitting part I actually finished one day after recording my last podcast episode. And yeah, I just had the second sleeve left to go, and that was done very quickly. I'll not put it back on. I realized that I'm quite warm again with this on. So yeah, we can have a look at the inside. I think the pearl side also looks very nice in the stripes. I believe there's also a few sweater designs out there that utilize this pearl line in stripes. Anyway, I'm losing the red thread here. So overall, I think this is a really nice time to have made a cotton cardigan. This piece is unlike anything else I have in my wardrobe. I'm really looking forward to wearing this on colder days, on summer evenings. And yeah, I'm really happy with the sleeve length. I'm really happy with the body length. I've said multiple times the raglan depth is not so much to my liking, but I think I will still wear this guy a lot, and I just adore the buttons. I don't think I can say that enough. The buttons are great. If I decide to weave in the ends or change anything about this, I will mention it in a podcast, I guess, but for now, this one is done and dusted. There's a little story I can tell about the finishing of this guy, because I finished knitting it, and I think I even woven the ends already when I had to block this guy, of course. Especially because I worked with frog yarn. It was the ramen noodle texture, so blocking was not an option. Not blocking was not an option. So yeah, I soaked it in warm water and wool wash, and then laid it out on my balcony to dry on my blocking mat. And then we drove away, like an hour and a half, and were away for a moment or two. And then when we drove back, there was a storm coming, and it was really, I love storm, but it was also a little scary because we were driving in the car and the hail was really huge. The hail, it was a hailstorm, and there was lightning and strong winds and just very amazing nature. As I said, I love that, but at the same time, you kind of feel this respect for Mother Nature. So when we came back into the apartment, I immediately looked out the window from which I could look onto our balcony and should have theoretically seen my Moondance blocking there, but it wasn't there. And there were 2 or 3 of my blocking mat puzzle pieces strewn about, and I was like, oh no. And my partner was like, what's happening? And I'm like, where's my cardigan? So we rush out on the balcony, and on the balcony there were, I think, there must have been 3 of the blocking mat pieces all over the balcony. Wet, of course, but no sign of the cardigan and the other blocking mat pieces, because in total I used 8 blocking mat pieces. And from our balcony, when you would jump off it, you wouldn't like immediately get to the ground. There's like a roof of the stores that are underneath our apartment that you can also step on. You're not supposed to, but in case you need to, you can step on those roofs. So we looked, it was still raining. And then further down, like 2 or 3 houses further down, we saw that on that roof there were a few blocking mat pieces and a sad-looking pile of something striped. So my boyfriend stepped on that roof and in his socks walked on the wet roof floor and got my blocking mat pieces for me. And of course my wet and very dirty, soggy cardigan. And everything was very yucky because there was a lot of like dirt and crumbs of all sorts integrated into the fabric. So yeah, I had to wash my cardigan again thoroughly. And I think I used a little bit too much wool wash because now it's feeling a little bit soapy. And we couldn't recover all of the blocking mats. So we're officially at -2 blocking mats. They're somewhere out there in the world now. And I'm very sad about that because I use them regularly and they're made of plastic. So I now polluted the environment with plastic, although I didn't mean to. So yeah, that also happened and delayed the blocking process a little bit, but everything turned out fine. I still have my cardigan, but it was a close call. It could have blown away further and then we would have never found it again. But all is well. My Moondance is finished and I'm very happy with it. Thank you for sticking around until the very end if you're seeing this. Leave a moon emoji in the comments if you're still here. I've never done that before. Maybe that's fun. And yeah, look out for more podcast episodes and more project vlogs. There's the next one already in the making. So again, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of the day. See you next time. Bye.